Hello, good afternoon, everyone. And good morning to some of you. I don't know where you're joining us from. I'm very excited to be here and to be in the company of our guest speaker, Dr. Her Excellency Dr. Fatou Bensouda. So Assalamu alaikum everyone. I would like to have you on the comments to tell us where you're joining us from, if you may please, our visitors. But on behalf of Bridging Gaps Advisory, I want to warmly welcome you all to this special conversation with an extraordinary, and I mean extraordinary woman whose leadership continues to inspire the world, and she needs no introduction. She is no other than Her Excellency Dr. Fatou Bom Bensouda. Today's dialogue forms part of our conversation series. This is our third edition, and it is a platform designed to spotlight women whose courage, integrity, and commitment to justice remind us of what's possible when women lead. For those joining us for the first time, let me just briefly introduce you to Bridging Gaps Advisory, who we are, what we do, what we're all about. We're a women-led service provider dedicated to advancing women in leadership and supporting women-owned businesses to grow and thrive, because we believe that when women thrive, communities thrive, and when communities thrive, the whole world thrives, and that's what we are all about. Through our programs, we build leadership capacity through our leadership training programs and coaching. We provide policy advocacy, strategy development, and we promote financial and digital empowerment for women executives and entrepreneurs. Our mission is very simple yet powerful. It is to create inclusive spaces where women connect, because we do organize forums where we bring together women from diverse sectors to share their insights and network. We also lead with purpose and influence policies for sustainable change. Her Excellency perfectly reflects the type of leadership we celebrate and seek to amplify through our work.
Hello, Your Excellency.
Dr. Bensouda's journey from serving as Attorney General of the Gambia, she is a pride of our country, the Gambia, to becoming the first African and first woman prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, embodies resilience, purpose, and trailblazing leadership on the global stage. We are deeply honored, profoundly honored, Your Excellency, to have you this afternoon for this conversation. Welcome to this conversation series. We're happy to have you, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. Really, I'm very grateful for having me to be your guest on this webinar. So I'm pleased to be here, and good afternoon to everybody, or good morning, wherever you may be, or good evening. I'm pleased to be here, and thank you for having me.
Wonderful, thank you. So without further ado, I'll just dive into our conversation. But before that, let me just give you a brief profile of who our remarkable guest is, her journey, her biography, basically. So before we begin, allow me to briefly highlight the remarkable career of Her Excellency, Dr. Fatou Bensouda. She is the Gambia's first international maritime law expert. After studying in Nigeria, Dr. Bensouda earned a master's degree in international maritime law in Malta, making her the Gambia's first expert in the field. She rose through the ranks at the UN's Rwanda Tribunal. Before joining the ICC, she served as a legal advisor and trial attorney at the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, ICTR. She served as a prosecutor of the International Criminal Court from 2012 to 2021, leading global efforts to advance accountability for crimes against humanity with a strong focus on gender-based violence and crimes against children. Her exceptional contributions have earned her numerous international honors, from Time and Forbes to Jeune Afrique, recognizing her as one of the most influential women of our time. In 2018, Dr. Bensouda received the Bled Strategic Forum's Distinguished Partner Award for the continuous commitment on her part and on the part of ICC to international peace and justice. In the same year, she was invited and joined the eminent roster of international gender champions. Dr. Bensouda and the office she led as ICC prosecutor have been nominated for the 2021 Nobel Peace Prize in recognition of their accomplishments and work in advancing international criminal justice without fear or favor. Dr. Bensouda currently serves as the Gambian High Commissioner to the Court of St. James and Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary to the Kingdoms of Denmark, Norway, Sweden, the Republics of Austria, Ireland, Finland, and Sovereign Order of Malta and Vatican City. Your Excellency, it is an honor. Like I said, it is a profound honor to have you with us. Welcome once again. So please, from our followers, people that are joining us today for this conversation, can I have some appreciation for our Excellency on the comment section? Let's have some emojis to celebrate this remarkable woman. Okay, so this segment, conversations segment, will be divided into 4 main areas, just for ease of communication, ease of conversation. We will later take some questions from the audience before we have our closing remarks. So basically, you have, Your Excellency, led the International Criminal Court, ICC, through some of the world's most complex and politically sensitive cases. How did you maintain moral courage and impartiality in the face of immense global pressure? And what does true leadership look like to you in moments of isolation or criticism? Because according to research, when you're high up there, you tend to be very lonely as a leader, especially as a woman. So we would love to hear from you, Your Excellency.
Yeah, thank you very much for, again, thank you for having me, and thank you for taking the time to at least talk about me and my career path and maybe contributions I have made to international justice. I'm really very pleased that we are having this conversation now. As you have said in your introduction, I'm a Gambian lady. I was born in the Gambia, in Banjul, in Halfdai, and I went to the Gambia High School for my education, high school education, and then I went to Nigeria where I studied law. I also did my bar, and then back I joined the Attorney General's office as state counsel, and then I rose through the ranks. When I finally left the Attorney General's office, I was already the Attorney General and Minister of Justice of the Gambia. So I did a short stint in the Gambia as in private practice. And then I left the Gambia to go to Rwanda when I was appointed as a legal advisor to the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda. And eventually I was also the senior legal advisor in Rwanda. Finally, I was elected as the deputy prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, where I served for 8 years, and then I was appointed as the elected as the chief prosecutor of the court from 2000 2004 to 2000 and, no, excuse me, 2012 to 2024. So that is basically in sum the career path. But one thing that I have always said, which is critically important for me, is to have the focus. It's important that always in whatever we're doing, I believe it is critically important that we focus. We also are passionate about what we're doing, but also we are equipped for what we're doing. Because, I mean, I do not believe in saying that, oh, we have to make way for the women, so that they can come in. I believe in women because we have the capacity. We have the capacity, and I believe in women equipping themselves. And by that, I mean, studying, being educated, being an expert in your field, and be able to present yourself. So whenever you present yourself on the merits, not because of your gender alone. It may be part of it, but you present yourself on the merits. So this is something really that has guided me all along. And I have always really believed in giving my best to whatever I am doing, giving my best. If I have the opportunity to occupy certain positions, I am occupying it not for myself, but for the people I serve. So this has been my guiding light throughout my career.
Wow, that's incredible. Having that focus and then being excellent in whatever you do, I think really stood out for me. And then being really competent, regardless of your gender, I think that is the way forward because we need to continue to grow and growth should be part of us. So that is really key. And what you said there about having to serve. It's not just you doing it for yourself, but you really wanted to serve. Is really profound. So I'm sure during those times at the ICC, you had some challenging times. So what personal values anchored you during those periods?
The work we do at the international level, in this particular case, the work I did at the ICC, we are dealing with addressing crimes that are of such big impact, that are so grave that we say they shock the conscience of humanity. They are very, very serious crimes. We deal with mainly war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. These are big, heavy crimes. They are not just everyday crimes. And now, of course, the ICC deals with the crime of aggression. So when you deal with these crimes, you know from the very beginning that you're dealing with a massive number of victims, but also a massive number of perpetrators. And sometimes these perpetrators, in fact, most times or all times, these perpetrators are of very high level in society. Either they are leaders of militia, or they are heads of state or heads of government. So these are the challenging problems that you confront with in the first instance, that you're dealing with crimes that are very, very serious. You are dealing with a massive number of victims, and you're also dealing with perpetrators who can be very, very high level. So that alone is a big challenge. But at the end of the day, what I have always said to myself is, these victims of these crimes, they look up to us. They look up to us to give justice, to bring justice. And it is up to us, really, to make sure that we deliver on that. So I have always approached my work with fairness. Of course, as I always emphasize, I have tried to be very well versed in whatever I was doing, very qualified in what I was doing, but at the same time also to be objective and to be fair, and also to be guided only by the statute and the rules that govern the International Criminal Court. And I also did my work at all times without fear or favor. This is what I have always said, whether it is taken on board or not, but that is what has always guided my work at the ICC, without fear or favor. And also, wherever I see that these crimes are being committed in accordance with the statute and the evidence, we will intervene in those situations, of course, where we have jurisdiction. So it is critically important to bear in mind the enormity. The responsibility is great, but you have to bear in mind that we shoulder great responsibility, but that there are so many people who are affected, who are victims, who are looking up to the court, and who are looking up to the office of the prosecutor to step in and give justice. So these are really what has always been at the back of my mind. So whether I have been attacked or whether I have not been supported, whether I've not been encouraged, this did not stop me. And maybe as we go on, we can refer to specific challenges that I have faced during my term at the ICC as prosecutor, as chief prosecutor of the court.
Wow, well articulated. And you should see me writing like everything that you are saying. And I'm sure others that are also listening are really writing some of the values that you have very much well articulated. I came across a quote of yours that says, I am a victim oriented person. I like to see that the victims know that they have a voice, and indeed you are really standing up to that. Definitely.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, I have always said that the reason, or if I may say, the raison d'etre of establishing the ICC is for the victims. The victims who've suffered these very heinous crimes, usually in the community that they are, in the country that they are. Obviously, they are not expecting to have justice there. They're not. And they look up to the ICC as a beacon of hope. So it is really up to us. I mean, when I was there as the chief prosecutor with my team, to ensure that those who are craving for this justice, whom we see and have analyzed that the crimes of ICC have been committed on their territory, that we step in where we have jurisdiction to address it. Because apart from the ICC, in many situations, there is no other hope for justice for them.
Hope indeed you provided for them, definitely. So, throughout your career, you've championed accountability for gender based crimes and atrocities often overlooked in international justice. So, what systematic shifts do you believe are still needed to ensure that women's voices and experiences are fully recognized in global justice frameworks?
In the first instance, just to talk briefly about sexual and gender-based crimes, because this is something that I'm very passionate about. And it has not only started when I was at the ICC, I believe it started when I was very young and in the Gambia, and really concerned that these crimes are being committed. And there is really no recourse most of the time. And even when you have domestic violence, we find that our own domestic system will not address it because they say that, oh, it's husband and wife, go and try and fix it. But we have that, and it's still persisting in our societies. So when I left and went to the ICC, even before the ICC, at the International Criminal Court for Tribunal for Rwanda, this was one of the areas that I was also asked to focus on. But when I went to the ICC, I thought that this was now an opportunity. I'm placed in a position where I could actually address this. And I could do that by first and foremost looking at the setup that we had. And I remember creating a mechanism in which we could all women, for instance, giving first of all training that we needed for this. Because what I did was to launch a policy on sexual and gender-based crimes. It was the first policy that was launched by any international criminal tribunal at that level. I launched it, I think, just 1 or 2 years after I was elected as ICC prosecutor. And I made sure that my staff was trained. I made sure, in the first instance, I just made sure that there was enough consultation all around the world, not only with ICC, but also with state parties, with academia, with civil society, to the extent that we got out a document which I believe that was something that could stand up to the test. And what I did was I made it an integral part of our investigations to say that whenever these crimes are committed during conflict, that and where we have jurisdiction and are investigating, we will look into those investigations. So that policy is there, it's still out there. It was launched, I think, in 2014, I believe. And but that was just to demonstrate that the issue of the unfortunate victimization of women and girls, especially during conflict, is something that we really needed to do more. We have to establish strategies. We have to look at policies. We have to look at ways in which we will address that situation. Because when you see conflicts happening, what you see, unfortunately, is that women and girls and children, they bear the brunt of the conflict. It's as if the war is fought on their bodies. So for me, I needed to really do something and set up some strategies in which we could address it, in which we could investigate it, and in which we could prosecute it. So today, there are quite a few cases at the ICC in which sexual and gender-based crimes have been investigated and have also been prosecuted. So coming back to what you said about what can we do, this was just an example to tell you that we need to make sure that we also prioritize issues that are affecting women and girls. I am not saying that women should be put above men or whatever concept people have. I believe that there is great potential in women, and that women, naturally, I think, are born leaders. So we need to make sure that women are included. You know, they are included in the debate, they are included in the discussions, they are included in decision-making processes and policies that we have within our own societies. Because I think that if we are moving in any developing country or in any development, if you're going with half your population, because if you leave women behind, you are leaving half your population behind. If you go forward with half your population, you can only expect to have half results instead of the full results. So this is why I think that it's critically important to really think about women at the decision-making level, not only to receive, but also to be in a position where they can show their full potential, because women have it already. I mean, we lead houses, we lead our families, we take care of our families, their health, we take care of their food, their schooling, and all that we do. And this is exactly what we can bring to the table. You know, especially a woman who's qualified to be at the table should not be marginalized.
I totally support that. Women have great potential, and if you leave them out, you're leaving out half of the population. And you know, we always talk about inclusivity in everything that we do, because research have, you know, attested to the fact that, you know, if you have a diverse setup, then you know, that brings about growth, that brings about innovation, and you know, it has a ripple effect, basically. So women cannot be left behind. And
Yeah.
so, with all that work that you have done, how can younger women in law and advocacy continue this work meaningfully?
In the first and foremost, I think that those of us women who are in leadership, who have had the opportunity or maybe the privilege to reach certain places in our careers, I think that we have that responsibility to ensure that those who are coming after us are properly mentored and that they are properly trained. We have to act ourselves as role models for those who are coming after us. And we start by doing that by promoting diversity and inclusion. We do that in the workplace, but also even at home, even from school. We do that. And also we try as much as we can to champion the women's rights and to empower them. This is a responsibility that we have. And we also look for strategies that we can use to address and overcome all these biases, which unfortunately we have now. We have stereotypes, stereotypical type of women, stereotyping women, I mean, and we also have barriers, unfortunately, that hinder the progress of women. So by mentoring and sponsoring young ones, but also us by talking to leadership and ensuring that those policies that would help to empower the next generation are there. This is important for us to do. So we also need to look into what are the initiatives that we can take that will promote work-life balance, for example, using flexible work arrangements, also support that we can give to women. We need to really think about what can be done for women, what can be done for girls who will take over from, those of us perhaps who are in the leadership position now. These are the things that are, for me, critically important, and we should, by all means, work on that. I have a, a mentor of mine, I can even call her, who used to say that women such as us who are privileged to be in leadership positions, when we climb to the top of the ladder, our only responsibility that we have is to look back and see that the ladder is still there so that others can use it to come up. So we have that duty, we have that responsibility to really help young women and make sure that they too will take their place, their natural place in society, and also be leaders in time.
Wow, to see the, as you rise, to see the leader is to see, to make sure that the ladder is still there. I mean, it's really profound and very deep. And mentorship is critical in this sense, because it is really what helps others also to rise up and learn from, the lessons of our leaders. Basically, the what to do and the what not to do. Yes, the strategies to overcome biases and having that work-life balance. The PepsiCo lady, I've forgotten her name, said that there is no such thing as work-life balance because it's really, really difficult. So I don't know whether you agree or not with that, striking that work-life balance.
It's very difficult. It's very difficult. I used to say, I mean, when in my busiest moments, and of course, I cannot neglect my family. I also have to take care of them. So I used to tell them that, I keep house and I keep office. So this is unfortunately some of the roles that society, I mean, women are known for to do. But I believe that women are the best multitaskers. Women multitask and they do it very, very well. As much as you really need to ensure that your office is being run and is being run properly, you cannot do that, completely neglecting your own family and what you have to do there as well. So it is a difficult life for us, but I do not think that we it's something that we should not do, or just say that because it's difficult we should not do it. We find ways. We find ways in which we ensure that the family feels our presence, but at the same time, if we are also given work, we're doing some work that we also need to make sure that we do it to the best of our ability. So there must be a way to find that work-life balance. Otherwise, it's also not going to be very productive if you cannot find that balance. It will not be productive because you'll either be, all the time working, or you will be all the time with your family when you also have other responsibilities outside of the family.
Okay, and perhaps you may want to also add that the partners to be more supportive and stepping up, where our weaknesses are or where we
Yes.
lack.
Yes, I completely agree with that. And when I talk about family, of course, it's including the partners because they play a big role also in our families. If you have a supportive husband, a supportive partner, they do assist in ensuring that you are able to also keep that balance, of the family, but also of your work. So they have a big role to play, and I think they should continue to step up and support their partners when they are in these roles.
Okay, all right. Well said. Let's move on to global justice, which is also part of the theme. So, as the first African and first woman to serve as ICC prosecutor, you carried both symbolic and practical responsibilities. How do you reflect on the evolving relationship between Africa and international justice institutions, and what role should African women play in reshaping that narrative?
Um, something that I discovered really during my time at the ICC was the fact that the role that Africa itself has played in international criminal justice is much underrated. Really, it has not really been giving the importance that it has, because indeed Africa has played a big role in international criminal justice, whether we want to accept it or not. These are the facts, and they speak for themselves if you would look at those facts. Let me just limit it to the establishment of the International Criminal Court. Of course, International Criminal Court, the negotiations to establish the court has been long in coming. And it took a while, but it was taken up by the United Nations. All the membership of the United Nations were part of the diplomatic conferences to establish the International Criminal Court. And maybe this demonstrates that at the time, the hunger for justice. First, you will remember that all the ad hoc tribunals were established. You had the ICTY, which is the International Criminal Tribunal for former Yugoslavia. You had the ICTR, which is the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, following the Rwanda genocide. And you also had the Special Court of Sierra Leone. You had the courts of Cambodia. So all of these courts were established, but they were all on ad hoc basis. So as time went on, there was the debate that, look, we need to have an international body, an international institution in place that will be nimble, that will be able to act as soon as something has some conflict is taking place, or that some crimes under the jurisdiction of the court are being committed. This was one of the reasons. And the ICC, the negotiations went on until 1998. I believe that the last diplomatic conference, which was held in Senegal, was the impetus that led us to also go to Rome, where the International Criminal Court, during negotiations by the world, I can say the whole international community were present. The ICC was established in 1998. And then it comes to the ratification of the ICC, the statute, so that ICC can come into existence. So it took 4 years, from 1998 to 2002, for the court to be established. If you take this and you compare it to many, many, many other international treaties, you will find out that ICC, the establishment of ICC was one of the fastest. It needed 60 ratifications to come into existence, but in 2002, we got those 60 ratifications. And that was because of a push by African states. These are things that, people really need to take into account. It was a push by the African states for the ICC to be established. So in 2002, it came into existence. And I also want to remind people that when ICC came into existence, the crimes that ICC was set up to look at, war crimes, crimes against humanity, genocide, would only be the ones that would take place after the establishment of the ICC, not before, because it cannot look back. I mean, even in domestic jurisdictions, you have that under international, under criminal law. So it could only look at crimes that go forward. So the ICC become established. And the first countries and the first governments that referred cases to the ICC were African governments. Firstly, I think you had both Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda referring cases to the ICC. So, and then later on, it was followed by the Central African Republic. Then we had referrals from the UN Security Council for Sudan and Libya. And then we had also Cote d'Ivoire, which was also not a state party to the ICC, coming forward and referring cases to the ICC. So I want to highlight this. It is critically important because it shows that it was actually Africa that was going towards the ICC, that was asking the ICC to intervene. But unfortunately, when we had cases such as Sudan and Cote d'Ivoire and Libya and Kenya, there was the narrative that ICC is only targeting Africans, when in actual fact, it was Africans who were seeking ICC to come in. Even Guinea was a referral to the ICC. So these are many of the things that we took for granted. But I always say that Africa took leadership in international criminal justice by referring cases to the ICC. And I can tell you that during my work at the ICC, Africa has supported the ICC. There were many, many, many requests for assistance that I had to do. I had to go out to meet lots of heads of states and also meet Africans for my investigations in those cases that have been referred to the ICC. And I was getting that assistance from Africans. But of course, then there came the propaganda about ICC because we opened cases in certain places. And then, of course, all hell broke loose, unfortunately, and they started criticizing the court and saying that the court is only going after Africans, when in actual fact, Africa was going after the ICC. So this is what I really want those who are interested in justice, interested in international criminal justice, not to give up hope on the ICC. It is there to help. When you sign and ratify the Rome Statute and become member of the ICC, it is as if you're saying the ICC is part of me now. And this is something that we also forget in Africa or any other country, that once you ratify the statute, ICC is part of your domestic legislation, so to speak. And that you can always, if you are not able or you're not willing to try these crimes, you can always refer them back to the ICC. So Africa has been very, very active, and Africa has been very vigilant, and Africa has been very supportive of the ICC. So if we really put everything in proper context, I believe that Africa has played a great role in international criminal justice.
Wow, thank you for clarifying that those misconceptions that people had about the role of Africa in ICC. So this is very educational to know that Africa has played a fundamental role in the development of ICC, definitely. Right. So how about the role that African women should play in reshaping
Um,
this
This Ramo is really critically important. I think that African women, it's high time that we know our worth. It's high time we also, that everyone realizes that the African woman has capacity. That in most cases, the African woman is so passionate about what they believe in, and they go to all extents to ensure that they achieve what they want to achieve in the end. And if you go across the continent, you find that there are many leadership roles that African women are playing at the moment. And you also find that even in the justice system, you have seen that there are so many women now occupying important positions in the justice field. We have the lawyers, we have the judges, we have women who are working within the judicial system. And this is testament to the fact that they only need to step up there and demonstrate their capacity. So we need to continue to do that as women. We cannot allow a so-called imaginary glass ceiling for women to just stop at some place. We can go as far as our counterparts have gone in our careers. No, we should not be limited. I've always said that even if there are glass ceilings, it's meant to be shattered. No, women cannot allow ourselves to be limited to certain positions or to go as high as just some places and not to go all the way. So I think that there are many examples of women who have demonstrated that in leadership positions they can lead and that they can lead well and that they can provide examples which other women who are coming up can also emulate and be able to be in those positions when time comes. So when you are there as a leader, you have to make sure and look for ways in which you can encourage, in which you can formulate strategies, in which you can build policies and look at the challenges that the women are facing now and actually look for solutions for those challenges. How do you make it so? How do you make it for other women to be able to have the courage to also step up? Because I have a lot of confidence in women anyway, and especially I have a lot of confidence in the young ones that are coming up. I know that they realize that they have the potential, and that I know with little encouragement they can just go up to their full and demonstrate their full potentials. So this is we cannot say that women should always be in the background. We can actually step up and be in the forefront and to help other women. We raise families, as I said, and all these, our male counterparts are raised in families, which usually is the woman who is fully in charge. We always forget that. So likewise in international criminal justice, um, by virtue of the fact that women bear the brunt in conflict, should be one of the reasons why women should be given a position at the decision at the negotiating table. Women should be there because they experience the worst part of the conflict. Whether it's conflict, whether it's climate change, whether it's any other adverse happenings in the world, women do suffer for it. So when we are negotiating, when we are deciding, when we are making decisions regarding women, women should be there at the table negotiating because nobody else will know better than themselves. So when we are deciding on issues that are affecting women, that are affecting the bodies of women, you cannot exclude women from having their voice.
Absolutely. Women cannot be excluded in decision making, and they should not be excluded. I don't know whether you, at the ICC, whether you had any mechanisms in place in terms of appointments, in terms of that balance, gender balance. But you, like you said, women need to step up, and you led by example. You stepped up. You broke the glass ceiling, and we can emulate from you. Women can emulate from you. It can be done. It has been done, and that should not really stop us. So I just wanted to quickly, if you can quickly let us know what mechanisms are in place at the ICC before you left, in terms
Yeah.
of having that balance.
Yeah, definitely at the ICC, it was very important that we have that balance, that gender parity, and it is in our books, it's in our rules, and we are being encouraged that women should be encouraged to also occupy important leadership positions. Of course, you have there are issues sometimes when positions come up. You find that women just don't go for it. You have more applicants, male, than women. So one thing that I I tried to do when I was there is to really even go out and encourage and headhunt for women whom I felt, would be good for certain positions. Of course, it will be done fairly because I believe that everything should be above board and based on merits. But sometimes you find a woman who has all the qualifications to occupy certain positions, but decide not to because they still feel that they are not up to the position, if I may put it that way. So I would pick out people and I would encourage them. I say, this position is coming up. Why don't you apply? And most of the time they will say, oh, you really think I should apply? I said, yes, of course you should apply. And when they apply, they compete like every other person who has applied. It's not that it's just given to them, but they compete based on their merits, based on their performance and their experience. And you inevitably found out that in most cases, they even excel more than those who thought they are the ones who should apply and not herself. So it has happened to me not once, not twice, whilst I was there, encouraging women to really come up. And of course, we had within mechanisms within the office itself, in which we provided mentorship and we provided like sponsorship for the younger generation. There was a time at the office, at least at my office, I can speak of that, in which we really had enough women. But again, what we had was that those women who were in the office were always occupying the lower positions. They are not the P5s and the higher positions, but just the lower ones, which I thought that, something like that has to change because definitely amongst them, there were those who could really prove themselves. And in panels, when we are recruiting people, I make sure also that there were women on the panel, who would not only that it would be men, but that there was gender parity in the panels, and that when they interview, I know that it's always easier for us women to relate to others than maybe our male counterparts. So, and I also ensure that I encouraged even the men. Even the men should also step up as a he for she to ensure that we have that parity. And I was absolutely very clear about non-discrimination, especially discrimination based on gender. I had zero tolerance for that based on gender, and I made sure that we encouraged our women, other women, to step up and become part of the leadership. I was able to, before I left, at least get a few women on the P5 level um, uh, at the time, and I think that this practice is also still continuing. That at the very highest level, where you have women leading teams that investigate and prosecute, was something that is not an anomaly there. It was natural. So those are some of the strategies, but also I think it was important that that policy that I spoke about earlier on, the policy on sexual and gender-based crime, that policy was out there. This is our work. This is what we were supposed to do, investigate and prosecute, but we could not investigate and prosecute and marginalize sexual and gender-based crimes. So I made sure the policy was there, but also included in the policy is the way that we as an office would deal with those crimes wherever we find them during the course of our investigations. This, I think, also sent a very loud and clear message that discrimination in the office, even in terms of our investigations, will not be tolerated in the office.
Wonderful. I commend you for your deliberate efforts that you took to ensure that women were represented, and having those mechanisms in place, the policies, they serve as a very important tool to ensure that there's inclusivity. On a final note, having transitioned from global justice leadership to diplomatic service, how do you continue to align your current work with your lifelong mission of advancing peace, justice, and human dignity? What lessons would you share with the next generation of African women leaders seeking to
Yeah.
create impact on the global stage?
Yeah. You know, the importance of diplomacy also cannot be underestimated. Diplomacy, if it's done right. I want to be very specific on that. Because if you are able to maintain the relationship between states, because mainly at this level, this is what we do, between states, and in my instance here also, I have duty and responsibility for the welfare of Gambians that are within my jurisdiction, within the United Kingdom, but also other countries that I have been accredited to. So if you are able to ensure that your relationship, both your bilateral relationships and your relationships with our community here works well, I believe that it can also contribute to bringing peace amongst ourselves. Because even if you look at the courts, like let's say the ICC, one of the reasons for establishing the ICC is, of course, to try perpetrators of these heinous crimes, but also to be an example, for that trial to be an example to would-be perpetrators from committing those crimes. So, and if they see that, they will be tried and they will be judged, it can act as a deterrent for them not to commit the crimes. So, and this brings peace. Of course, this brings peace, and this brings the absence of conflict. And if you have the absence of conflict, one of the, I think, the big gains that you can have out of that is peace. Peace is very, very important to avoid conflict, to avoid many other issues that would lead to really wars that currently, unfortunately, we are witnessing. So in diplomacy, this is also critically important. Apart from, of course, working with your other colleagues, you're working at the bilateral level, at the multilateral level, to ensure that you have trade, you have development and investment and all that. There's also the duty and responsibility to ensure that you maintain good relations with your neighbors, good relations bilaterally and also at the multilateral level. So this is something that I think we have to bear in mind. So when you compare it really to my work at the ICC, which ultimately we wanted to ensure that ICC wants to ensure that there is peace, because when there is no war and when there is no perpetration of all these crimes, there will be peace. Also at this level, there is the efforts that are being made at the international level. We have the Geneva Conventions, to ensure that we also maintain good neighborliness as diplomats. So these are things which I hope that we do not take for granted. We do not take for granted the fact that we are at peace, and that we should try in whatever ways we can to maintain that peace, to have respect for one another, to ensure that we also do what is right. First, do no harm. We do what is right, but also to be able to be in a position where we can relate to our other colleagues from other parts of the world and maintain a good relationship. This is, I believe, particularly important for me. And whilst I was at the ICC also, I would not say that I was just focused on investigating and prosecuting. It also involves a lot of diplomatic work, if I may put it that way. Diplomatic in the sense that we don't investigate just in The Hague. We investigate at the places where the conflict has taken place. So we go there, and sometimes we are allowed to investigate, but sometimes they deny investigations completely. There are several examples in which the countries concerned have even gone to the extent of withdrawing from the ICC, so that it becomes a challenge for our investigations. So most of the time, what I will do is, once we decide to intervene in any situation, as they used to call me the top diplomat, but I would go and meet with the authorities of that particular country at the highest level to be able to explain the work of the court, what we need to do independently. Of course, we were not asking them to investigate for us, and that we needed assistance logistically when we are there. So I did that, and of course it's sort of diplomatic work. And once that is done, then you found it easier for my investigators to deploy to the field and be able to do their investigations and prosecutions at that level.
Thank you for championing peace in the work that you do at the diplomatic level, both bilateral and multilateral level. And without peace, there wouldn't be stability. And so we definitely need that. And thank you for the work that you do. So, what really gives you hope when you look at the next generation of African women?
I am very, very hopeful, as I said at the very beginning. I believe I see um, women and girls now. I see that they are making every effort that they can to equip. I like to use that word, to equip themselves. They're doing their studies. They're training themselves. They are involved in world sort of like organizations that deal with world affairs. That they're trying a lot. And I have also seen that I've met in the course of my career, even up to now, because I get invited to many places to talk about the ICC, talk about international justice. And I do go to students. They invite me to some universities. I go to talk. But when I go to talk, you find I'm most of the time almost surrounded by young students who want to know, what are the next steps, what they should do to really play their own role in society. And this is encouraging. This shows that they also want to bring in their contribution, which they have. I always say that, you know, today, the women and girls of today, the younger generation, are not for the future. They are here for the present, evolving. They are here. Leadership is already in their hands, and that they should continue. They should really continue that and ensure that sooner or later they are going to be the ones to receive the mantle from some of our leaders, and that they have to take this forward. So for them to already realize that responsibility, realize that they will be in inevitably they will be the one to take over. I think that I am very much encouraged by what I see already. And I want to encourage them to continue on that path. Let nobody stop them. Let nobody tell them that there is a glass ceiling. Let them know that they have a lot of potential which they can bring to the table, and that I just encourage them to do that. I know they can, and that they should.
Those are very powerful words of encouragement for young women, and I hope those that are listening or will listen eventually will definitely take note of that. On a lighter note, Your Excellency, what would you like to share with us that no one really or not many people know about you that you would also would like to share with us?
Um, I
Be
don't
it
know
your
whether
cheerful.
people I don't know whether I think, I mean, everything is known about me, I believe. But just what I perhaps want to say is that I am a very family oriented person, and that I have had a lot of support along the way in my career. I have had support from my own members of my family, my elder sisters, and also my brothers. I have had support from friends who are, so close that I consider them as family, who have also, supported me as I went along. They have cheered me on, and they have encouraged me to even try harder and go further. So maybe these are some of the things that I want to probably talk about, and also, just to remember my late husband that I lost earlier this year, who has supported me tremendously in my life, tremendously, and who has always not blocked me to do anything. On the contrary, he encouraged me. Even if I got tired and I was discouraged, he was always there to push me on, to go on. And he supported me. He was by my side until the time that I lost him. So this is something that I want to put on the record. His help and his support to me in my life and in my career.
Wow, that is really moving. And sorry for your loss. And may Allah continue to shine light on him and then on his grave and grant him
Amen.
Jannah, highest of Jannah,
Amen.
inshallah.
Amen.
So
Amen. Ya
definitely,
Rabbi.
if you really want to further in your career, I think family support is instrumental and you
Mhm.
really benefited from that. And yes, so it is always important to have that, support from either family, friends, whatnot, because we really cannot do it
Mhm.
alone. Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
So thank you so much,
Mhm.
Your Excellency, for those
Yeah.
deeply inspiring reflections.
Yeah.
So we will now take a few questions from our audience, unless you want to share something extra, because
No,
yeah.
no, I just wanted to thank you very much for taking your time to do this. And maybe just to say that, as you rightly saw, I have a lot of recognition the world over for the work I did at the ICC and my international judicial career as such. And I just want to also encourage that in the Gambia, we should try, just like you're doing, to also celebrate our own, to encourage our own people. When we see someone doing something and excelling in that, let us try to encourage that person, especially when they see that everybody else is recognizing the person, but the Gambia always remains silent. So this is an effort on your part to at least bring to light my humble contribution that I had made in the field of international criminal justice, and I thank you for that.
You have made immense contribution to the Gambia. You're a pride to our nation. We're proud of you and we should be celebrated. And to all our great leaders, I truly agree they should be celebrated, cheer them on so that, the others can be encouraged to follow. So I totally
Exactly.
agree.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if there are
Exactly.
any questions, please type them on the comments. Not too sure whether, with our technical issues that we were experiencing, whether there are any comments, any questions. I have somebody saying Gambia and Africa, we are proud of you, Your Excellency, Madam, you're super brilliant. For anybody
Thank you.
watching, any questions, please type them in the comments. Any regrets, Your Excellency, in the course of your career? What would you, if you had the chance, what would you have done differently, if at all there's any?
Um, uh, really, I have tried as much as possible to always be there for my family and for my friends. I've tried in my very, very busy life. I can tell you, I've tried to do that. And sometimes I just sit back and wonder whether I have given enough or not. So this always comes to mind, but I hope I have given enough. I thought that at some point in time, the calling that you have and the responsibility that you are shouldered with, you just have to give it your best. And I hope that I did not uh, go so much that I have any neglect of my family. I hope not. So maybe that's something that always comes to my mind, crosses my mind, and what I have over the years always tried to do, as little time that I have, anytime I make sure that I spend it with my family and my friends and people I love.
But I'm sure your legacy, is very, because it's very inspiring. Your family, they're really proud of you, and whatever regrets that you may have regarding them, that will surpass, your legacy that you have left behind would surpass that. So we say thank you, Your Excellency, for your advice and words of encouragement to women at large. Can Madam share with us a little on her educational career? I think you have done that, and I
Yes.
also read a bit on that, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you
Yes,
just
indeed.
late.
Indeed.
Uh,
Indeed. I
what's,
mean, yeah,
what's
as
your
I
current?
said, as I said, I studied in the Gambia. I started in Winley Primary School, and I went to Gambia High School. Then I went all the way to the sixth form, and after the sixth form, I think I spent 2 years because I was still waiting to go and study abroad. So I started when finally I left the Gambia. First, I started in Freetown. Okay, this may be something that many people do not know, and I should say I was waiting to go and study law in Nigeria. I chose Nigeria. Of course, there were other countries that I could go to, but I wanted to do my law in Africa for some reason. So when our admissions did not come because Nigeria was on strike, these universities were on strike, I decided to accept to go to Fourabay College in Sierra Leone. And unfortunately, at the time, Fourabay College was not offering law as one of the professional courses, which I wanted to do. So I decided to read French and sociology, always making sure that it's something that leaves me in contact with the society and people. I did that for one term, and I went in September, and we came back in December for holidays. And I spent the holidays in the Gambia and was at the airport about to go back to Sierra Leone when the education department at the time sent someone to say that our admissions have come and that I was admitted to the University of Ife in Nigeria, whether I wanted to go. So I canceled my flight to Sierra Leone, and then 2 days later also I went to Nigeria and started my law there. So yeah, so maybe that is something. So I did law in Nigeria, and I did my law school in Lagos. I came back to and I worked for some time in the as I said, I went straight to the Ministry of Justice. Started off as public prosecutor until I got my bar. I then became state counsel and just moved up to the ladder. And during that time, before I left the Ministry of Justice, I had also been to Malta to do my master's in international maritime law and law of the seas, which I did successfully and came back. There are a few other diplomas and certificates there. Maybe I should not go into all of that, but basically this is the foundation. This is the foundation. That is my education and of course experience and some of the other uh, education short courses that I did here and there.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that your educational journey with us.
Yeah.
I think we do not really have enough time now. We can call it a day and do a brief closing. And as we close, I just want to express once again my heartfelt gratitude to your
Thank you very
excellence.
much.
Yes, and for sharing your wisdom and for reminding us that leadership at its core is about service,
Yes. Yes.
integrity, and courage, and that is exactly what you possess.
Yes.
So you've not only made history, but you continue to shape it.
Thank you. Thank you
Yes.
very much. Thank you
Thank
for having me.
you.
It's
So
been a
this
pleasure.
event would not have been possible also without the support of our amazing partners like Kepatu, who's sharing this live, and the
Yes.
Female Lawyers Association of the Gambia. Your Excellency, please take note that they've been very supportive. Yeah.
They are.
Yes.
That is why I always ensure that I am an active member of that the Female Lawyers Association of the Gambia. I believe they are doing great work.
Wonderful. And under the leadership of Anna Jai, she was like,
Indeed.
Ramu, don't worry, we're going to share this,
Yes.
across all our networks. And I believe they really did. So we are truly grateful for their
Thank you.
collaboration and commitment to amplifying women's voices and advancing justice. So
Thank you.
just a little bit of promotion. So as we approach the end of this year, so I
Mhm.
would warmly invite our followers, listeners, to our end of year event, which is coming up. We will share the details on our
Mhm.
social media platforms. So please follow us. So it's going to be a masterclass, a reflective and empowering session, bringing women leaders across sectors to take stock, set goals, and build
Mhm.
systems for the year ahead. So this will take place sometime early in December, and we will share details. So to learn more about the work that we do at Bridging Gaps Advisory, I encourage everyone to follow us on our website www.bridginggapsadvisory.org. So on behalf of our entire team, we thank you all for joining us this evening, and may we continue to bridge gaps, inspire change, and lead with purpose. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and have a good day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Bye bye.